Charles Schulz, the creator of the Peanuts comic strip, would have been 100 this year. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English lesson number 533. This right here is a great way for you to upgrade your skills in English. This is the third of our 2022 holiday special lessons, and today we'll talk about the Peanuts comic strip. Charles Schulz, the creator, was born 100 years ago last month. So I thought this was a good time to talk about his world, his comic strip that entertained millions of people and still does even after his death. The expression today is comic relief, and we have a song of the week. Let's dive in. The world of Peanuts is a world without adults, when grown-ups are needed in the story, which is not very often. They appear only with speech bubbles or very occasionally with just part of their bodies in the frame. In animated specials, the voice of an adult is a garbled mess. But don't be fooled. Peanuts includes what we might call adult topics: friendship, loneliness, love, ambition, diversity, happiness, disappointment. But the genius of the Peanuts comic strip is that these universal human stories are told through the eyes of children and one dog. Oh, the dog. Snoopy is the black and white beagle that lives in a small red house. You often see him lying on his back on top of his house. Though he doesn't talk, he's a dog after all, he does have thoughts which appear in speech bubbles. He has a typewriter, which he uses often. Snoopy dreams of being an author. He dreams of many things. Being a fighter pilot was one of his most vivid aspirations. Snoopy was one of the first characters to give human personality traits to dogs, something filmmakers and storytellers take for granted now. The other characters are just as rich. There's Charlie Brown, the lovable loser who suffers from anxiety and low self-esteem. There's the prankster Lucy, who always pulls the football away when Charlie Brown wants to kick it. Peppermint Patty and Marcy are best friends, but they both have a crush on Charlie Brown. Schroeder has dreams of being a concert pianist. Linus clings to his safety blanket. Woodstock, the bird, adds comic relief. Franklin was the only minority in the Peanuts gang. 17,897. That's how many Peanuts comic strips Charles Schulz drew. And yes, he drew them all, never relying on other illustrators or computers to produce his drawings. His contract stipulated that when he couldn't draw anymore, the strip would stop. Schulz died on February 12th, 2000, aged 77. His final Peanuts cartoon appeared on February 13th, the next day. Peanuts was one of the most successful comics in history. It earned its creator over $1 billion in his lifetime. The comics inspired television specials, a feature film, amusement park rides, and lots of stuffed animals. The themes in Peanuts are timeless, but the strip belongs to a different age. From 1950 until 2000, the entire second half of the 20th century, people around the world read the Peanuts cartoons in the back pages of their printed newspapers. When the strip stopped, the day after Charles Schulz's death, it appeared in over 2,000 newspapers. The cartoon continues to run in syndication, but a lot of the world doesn't get a printed newspaper. Yes, you can find the cartoons online, but there was something about the experience of seeing just one 4-paneled comic a day. And if you missed a day, you missed the cartoon. You can still get a little of that experience by visiting peanuts.com. There's just one new one posted every day. Now, I should say the new ones posted on peanuts.com are reruns. They're not making any new ones, but there are enough. Charles Schulz wrote one a day for 50 years. The appearance of the characters did change a very little bit over time. Now, it's fun to look at the very earliest versions to see how the different characters looked. But in the vast majority of the strips, the characters and the penmanship all look the same. 50 years. He published one every day for 50 years. Now, if you're into this, there's a great biography of Charles Schulz. It's called Schulz and Peanuts. It came out in 2008, and it has a bright yellow cover. Today's expression is comic relief. This is a technical term in filmmaking or storytelling, but you can use it in everyday conversation. Comic relief is something that makes you laugh and which breaks the tension in a story. Relief is a word we use to get a little bit of a break from something stressful. Oftentimes in a movie or in a story, there's tension. And as a viewer, it's stressful to watch the scenes. You feel this tension in your body. It's almost not easy to watch as the tension and the uncertainty builds. So one device, one tool that filmmakers can use to lower the tension a little bit is to add something that's a little funny. This is called comic relief. It's something funny in a tense or stressful or serious situation that lowers the intensity a little bit. Comic relief doesn't usually solve a situation. It doesn't make a situation better. Sometimes it does, but it gives you a little bit of a rest from constantly feeling the tension. That's comic relief. So here's a great example. Snoopy is asleep on the top of his red doghouse and it's snowing. He wakes up under a blanket of snow, worried about Woodstock, the little yellow bird. Snoopy says that Woodstock, as a bird, probably doesn't know how to take care of himself in the snow. He worries that maybe he's buried under the snow or frozen. This is the tension. But in the final frame, we see Snoopy arriving at a tree. And in the tree is a bird's nest. And in the bird's nest is an igloo with a fireplace and a warm fire inside. And that's often Woodstock's role in the strip, to provide a little comic relief. Disney movies have comic relief. You don't want the children to be too scared. So even when there's danger, even when something bad is happening, they find a way to make you laugh a little. Olaf, the snowman in Frozen, provides comic relief. So does Iago in Aladdin. Often the characters providing comic relief are secondary characters, and they sometimes make jokes about a situation that is very serious. In the early days of literature and theater, plays were either comedies or tragedies, but Shakespeare introduced comic relief to tragedies, some light-hearted moments in an otherwise serious story. You can use comic relief in your daily life too. A funeral, for example, is a sad occasion, a serious occasion. Every culture has its own traditions, but in the US, it's often considered acceptable for someone speaking at a funeral to tell a funny story or make a small joke about the person who has died, obviously respectful. However, people often appreciate a little comic relief in a situation like that. There's a reason to laugh even during a sad time. I was once a juror in a trial in New York. The defendant was accused of first-degree assault, a serious crime. She could have gone to jail for a long, long time if she had been convicted. Now, this was a serious occasion, a time for us as jurors to carefully weigh the facts and the arguments and to make a decision about the defendant's guilt. But the lawyers in the case introduced a little comic relief too. There were brief moments that broke the tension, small jokes, things like that. That was comic relief. And it serves a purpose in real life, just like it does in the movies. The lawyers are trying, each side, to get us, the jury, to agree with them, with their side. So let's say you're the defense and I'm on the jury. When I think about the defense's argument, do you want me to be tense all the time? You want me to be serious, but you want me to be comfortable too. So every once in a while, you introduce a little comic relief just to make us, on the jury, feel a little less tense, a little less stressed out. So if you want to use comic relief in a serious situation, I recommend that you do it carefully, but it can be a good tactic if you know how to use it. I was reading an article once that was asking, why is it that so many Christmas songs are old? Now, if you're like me, and if you're a living, breathing human, then you have heard Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You way, way too many times. But this is the exception that proves the rule. This is played so often because it seems like it's one of the only new Christmas songs. So JR picked Christmas Tree Farm by Taylor Swift. A lot of the lyrics are about her childhood. And get this, Taylor Swift grew up on a Christmas tree farm. Did you know that? She grew up on a Christmas tree farm in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. I have been there. Not to the farm, to the town. So anyway, Christmas Tree Farm by Taylor Swift is the song of the week. And that's all for today's lesson. Remember, the full lesson is available online at plainenglish.com/533. Congratulations on finishing the year strong with us at Plain English. We're going to start another great year together on Monday, January 2nd, 2023. That will be the last of our 4 holiday special episodes, and that one will ask and attempt to answer the following question. Why is New Year's Day on January 1st? If you're tempted to answer because it's the first day on the calendar, well, okay, but why is it the first day on the calendar? That's what we'll attempt to answer on Monday. I haven't written the lesson yet, so I don't know if we'll find the answer, but we'll try together. That's on Monday. See you then.